God.
Oh, that's hard.
It was harder than I thought.
Oh, my God. It's the first time I've ever held my breath for an entire week.
Wow. Well played. All right.
No, well, you also had a joke, though, that I liked. That I said I almost came up with two at the same time.
I was going to say.
I tried to do it.
Right, but I only made it to Saturday.
Ba bang, bang, bang. Now, in my mind, I feel like, was last week when we did it on Thursday, or was not last week? That was the week before.
Last week, we were back to Monday.
Oh, and people have noticed. I think they noticed the difference in my...
a Thursday show and a Monday show,
Oh,
Andy.
people say it all the time. They say, never go to a car dealership on...
Well, you always walk in and go, sorry, Josh, I've got a case of the Mondays. So
Is that what Garfield has?
I think so. And I think
and he doesn't like lasagna, or he does like lasagna?
He likes lasagna.
But he does not like Mondays.
Right, but he likes lasagna on Mondays.
Is that true?
I think so.
So in other words, to make...
I think I've got a case of the Mondays was also in Office Space.
Oh, okay. But you know what else is the song Manic Monday, which sexually got me through the 80s, just that video.
Because of...
Susanna Hoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it in a sexist way.
Right.
It could have been Bob Hops.
Right.
No, that would be weird. That's not weird.
Written by...
Prince.
Correct.
Yes. Prince, I am very sad about Prince because I associate him with when I first came to L.A. So it's really, for some reason, it has not let up being sad for me. The day Prince died.
Well, we're going to Minneapolis this week, so you can get an extra dose of Prince sadness.
No, I'll come up with my whole edgy chunk. That's what the edgy comics do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Prince, more like an archduke.
Twist the knife.
Yeah, Prince. Hey, Prince, back off on the fentanyl.
Wow.
You see, I have a facility
You do
part.
have a deep well.
Yeah. Hey, Prince, don't worry so much about the purple rain. No, but you see, I joke from love. And that's what they say on the history of comedy.
Well, the nice thing about you is you can actually look Prince in the eye.
Why do I love jokes about my height?
Because they're so innocuous.
But I have to say, though, Josh.
Yes.
How would you like an hour of this? Funny is funny. If it's not funny, it's not funny. You could joke about anything. It could be a tragedy. It could not be a tragedy. Well,
have you been watching the history of comedy
again? It is
again,
the worst
Andy?
show. It is the worst thing that has ever been on TV. And not that there aren't people in it who are great.
No, of course.
There's Cliff Nestoroff, who I love.
Sure.
And there's other people in it who are great.
Great people.
And I would have taken the gig.
Yes, sure.
I don't even think it pays. Right?
Probably
It's
not.
a documentary.
Yeah.
But CNN, and you commented on this with the 80s and the 90s, I can't stay. If I watch 1 second, first of all, they play it all the time when they're not running news.
Yes,
so they
they do.
rerun them all the time. So I have to see Bill Clinton jogging every 3 days. It is the worst network in the world. It must be run by someone who hates entertaining people.
Wait a second. It's Jeff Zucker.
I know. I had his face there. But it's just unbelievable. It's like the more they talk about comedy, the less it means anything.
Yeah, you don't get to see anyone work. You get to see one punchline and out on every single form of comedy.
But yeah, and also just the explaining about what's off limits, what's on limits. You know, you're never going to solve this issue. Right. You can't say, no normal human being would say, I'll joke about anything. My mother dies. 2 minutes later, I'm joking with her sister. Hey, she's gone. What do you think? Huh? Now you're the left. Now you're the only remaining family member. It's not true that you can joke about anything. It's like you can, technically.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you can joke about anything if you're an artiste.
That's true. No, I know what you're saying.
We were talking last week about how in my family you could in fact joke about anything. If it was a good joke,
I used a bad example. I really mean, like, yes, you can joke about any topic. You can't say you can't take a word and say you can't talk about rape, right. Or I wouldn't talk about rape because I don't have anything funny to say.
Don't have any of the story. None of the stories are funny.
None of my stories. So, but to say you can't say rape or you can't say that you can joke about anything.
Sure,
but. The idea that they kind of argue that at any time you could say, it's never about technically what you can say. It's just about what you would say under certain circumstances.
Right.
So it's not, you don't need a documentary about it.
I'm with you there. Well, and it's like, yeah, and it's almost as if the people think that comics reverse engineer their jokes from being offensive back to the joke.
Well,
as opposed to going, I just thought of a funny joke. Now I have to decide if it's worth the shit I'm going to get to tell it.
Right. Well, but comics that I don't like, I won't say their names. Like Ricky Gervais is just an example. I'm not going to get back into it. But no, his whole thing is, I'm going to offend you. Did I offend you?
Good.
So sorry.
Right. Let me count all the filthy lucre I've made offending you.
I don't think you can get anywhere you can't analyze it's very hard to do a documentary about anybody, and that's why I love good documentaries. So you can have insights, but when you narrow the subject down, it's almost like the people who are talking about it on this show, except for the people I like a lot, don't know, they feel forced into it.
Well, they're just making TV product. I mean, It's really, honest to God, it's just like there's no thesis to it. It's not a history of comedy. It's a heading, and then they can throw a bunch of shit under that heading for the week.
Right.
But there's no insight being given. There's no exploration of great comics at work, or what made them great, other than people talking about what made them great. You never get to see the particular magic that a comic has.
Well, that's because of the public. They can't use that much or something. Or
well, I don't know. It seems as if yes, they're using. They're going amount. With they're using it. They're doing fair use as their means of getting clips.
Right.
So if you're doing fair use, that means you can only use enough to illustrate your point, essentially.
Right. But now what you're saying is exactly true. They're not adding anything. They're not making a statement. And that's why I hate the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. It's like there's no central philosophy that we're going to take this and really dig into it this way, that way.
No,
it's just like clips.
Yeah, there's no point of view whatsoever. It's just, here's the footage we got. Let's narrate it.
Nixon was very moody. I am not a crook. I thought Nixon... there was a soft side to him. I like my dog. How is this not better? Our audio version of it.
The history of the history of comedy.
That's not what I could do for you. I have a Josh impression.
Do you
ready?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
No, all right. I can live with that. It's a little high pitched, but still. But I think the cadence was right.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Yeah. Who needs impression? I can't do them well. Leave them to the professional. I can't do them well. I didn't sound like that.
I didn't sound like that.
You're a bigot. You're a bigot. See? Oh, you know why you have that opinion? Because you're a bigot. See?
Yeah, you're a bigot.
So you're like 10 days clean on that stuff right now, aren't you? Just Twitter fights in general?
Yes. I'm not
saying clean of expressing your point of view. I'm talking about just like bullshit Twitter fights.
Well, like last night, someone who was a very nice person, I realized, after I said something snarky, I went after PJ O'Rourke, because you won't do it because he's your hero. You won't go after PJ O'Rourke because you say, look, I know he's a little bit to the right, but the guy's, I just love the way he paints a picture.
I love that last funny thing he said sometime in 1983.
I wonder if he was ever funny, but I haven't read enough of those old things.
Yeah.
Like people say Christopher Hitchens was great. I don't have the time now to go back and like Christopher Hitchens. Yeah. He was such a jerk towards the end of his life.
Yeah, no, I don't think... once you've got the hate lens in place, why go back?
It's not even fair to the person, right?
No, it's really not.
People told me Christopher Hitchens' early writings were good. I have a 14-page review of it that says differently.
Yeah. Hitchens could write, but he was a dick,
Yeah. And after a while, when you're just a dick, there's nothing attractive about it anymore. I know you love Imus.
Right.
I love this thing of making up a fake history. But, okay, so... I went after P.J. O'Rourke. I'm not even going to go after him. But there was a special on, and Cliff Nesteroff was talking about Mad Magazine. And then, what's his name? P.J. O'Rourke said some half-assed thing about, like, they said Mad Magazine was, that wasn't really what was edgy. They didn't take chances with National Lampoon. And I just got so red immediately because he doesn't know. I bet he doesn't know about Harvey Kurtzman.
I bet he does.
You think he does?
Yeah, I bet he does.
But it's just like... And so someone replied to me and said, they only have 40 minutes to tell a story.
Right.
And, interviews are edited. So I wrote a snarky thing. Yeah. Thank you for telling me how interviews are done, right? Thank you. Yeah, this, and you asked me, do I miss these kind of incidents? No, I don't. Oh, thank you. I don't know. Oh, I wouldn't know anything about it. And then the other thing I was going to say was, I would address this, but just, she made me think about it, that no one's forcing CNN to do these things. You know what I mean? Her argument is like they're doing the best they can within within what? The structure that they invented.
That's right. Their 24-hour comedy coverage. They're so selflessly, you know.
I would rather watch, I think, Lock Up now.
Yeah.
Lock Up. I'm watching Lock Up now instead of the history of comedy.
You will see probably better bits, or at least you'll get more bits from it.
I know I'll get more turned on. Hello. Hey, 6:55 in the fun zone. Fun zone. Fun zone. Fun zone. Fun zone. You're in the fun zone. I'm Funny Andy, and here's my partner, Funny Josh.
Hello, Andy.
You know, Josh, this weekend I ran out of the energy for the bit. So I deleted the tweet reply and then wrote to her, sorry, I did a reply that was kind of grouchy and mean, and I deleted it.
Okay.
She didn't see it. So that says, I thought they always see it once it gets sent out, because when the first time they turn their computer on. But now I know, maybe I'll get away with a mean comment without traces.
Right. Yeah, you can try.
So I'm not 100. I don't think I'll ever be 100% cured of anything, because one of my problems is thinking I have to be a good boy 100% of the time.
Right. No, I don't think it's about good boydom at all.
No, but that's my no.
Right.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, your analysis of what's wrong with me is different from my when I get out of control. What's going on in my mind?
Sure.
Right. So in my mind, and it's actually been really interesting because, like, it really does revolve around anger at people or positions I can't stand, and feeling that I can't do anything about them. So I tweet at them, and that it doesn't have. Sometimes it's good, right?
Sure.
But then sometimes it's like you're not. It just gets you more frustrated,
right?
And so I've been noticing that a lot. That before Twitter, I wouldn't tweet about a sandwich I didn't like.
Right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, the only satisfaction I can really get on Twitter is, oh, they liked my joke. That's about the only satisfaction I can walk away from.
Well, you also have passion. You have passion.
I think I have passion about.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. There's no way that you don't stay away. People know you hate Trump. I don't know why.
No, I
think the guy has a lot of problems.
I tweet relentlessly about politics, I think, on Twitter.
Right.
But,
not relentlessly.
Okay.
You have a lot of different things. I love the dental sign.
Yeah,
that was tilted. Did you enjoy my fresh fruit in Canada?
I did. That's what made me go, Andy's out of the country. I should probably check in and see if we're doing the podcast tonight.
Funny. That's why I got that text while I'm in line.
Yes.
I will never be Columbo because I didn't put that together. Oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Josh, well, I was actually concerned because I went. I can't tell people what I'm doing because everything's very hush-hush with my career.
But you were in Toronto doing a secret project.
Yes, I was filming a secret project up there. I will say this. I'm a comedian. It's a comedy.
A lot of bad coffee today?
I have not had a good cup of coffee since I left L.A.
Really?
And I don't want to tell you, folks, I know there's a lot of problems in the world. We're worried about white supremacy. But what I'm telling you, I go to the set. I can't say where it was. Schwarzenegger's already there. Coffee. They give me coffee. Have you ever had craft service coffee, Josh? It's inexcusable.
It comes from a tank, Andy.
First of all, what is it? Make them in small batches.
Yeah.
You can't leave coffee on at all, let alone an hour on a hot plate.
Yeah.
And now play that back again and breathe in and out.
I'm thinking maybe we should wear breathe right strips for this podcast.
I like it. This is what people miss, is that you went up and did a little boom with your head. You sold it with your head. This is why we should be filming the podcast.
I think we should, because
people would love
two Jews sitting makes good TV.
I'm getting less self-conscious as our popularity soars.
Right.
But
I have popularity sores all over my body.
Yeah, I heard those. I had that in the Navy once.
Yeah.
It starts out as a rash.
Right.
And spreads all over. I've done that line since the time when I was 12 years old. Where did I get that line
The
from?
rash thing?
Yeah. Oh, with the whole thing. Oh, I had that once in the Navy. Starts out as a rash, spreads all over. Could be Rickles. Could be listening to Rickles when I'm 12.
Could be a relative.
They're not that funny.
No.
My relatives are very funny.
Yeah.
You know, I told you the person.
It sounds relative-y.
Well, I say Jews are funny no matter what.
Sure.
So I was watching the Paul Simon in the park with Garfunkel, and my father's friend said, "Hey, that Paul Simon's okay. He's not one of those jazzed up characters in the cockamamie outfits." Come on, that's gold.
And then he did his the joke about joints.
What's that one?
Yeah, particularly a group of people who aren't usually recognized for their service to the city. The guys who are selling loose joints in the audience are giving half of their proceeds to the city tonight.
Are you saying this is Paul Simon's banter?
This is Paul Simon banter from Concert in Central Park.
Oh my God!
Which I listen to relentlessly.
It's a great concert. I know I've learned the concert.
It was a summer camp favorite that got into my life.
It's so interesting. Well, it's not interesting because they'll kill it by saying that. But how I know of having not seen stand-up or anything, all my knowledge of talking was like on the Beatles records when they would talk for a song,
right.
or Dylan would say something.
I Dig a Pygmy by Charles Hawtrey on the Duffy. Phase 1 in which Doris gets her oats.
That's all you can do. But what's that thing, the Defe?
I never know.
Oh.
I never really know. I never.
We'd like to thank you on behalf of the group. We'd like to thank you, and we hope we pass the auditions.
Loretta, sweet Loretta thought she was a cleaner, but she was a frying pan. Loretta, picker. Picture the fingers going.
I don't even. Look, they are the. So I always.
That's
thought,
all just Beatle banter.
I bought that is if you went to that studio or you saw them at any time of the day, it would be right in the middle of Hard Day's Night or those sessions.
Yeah, they were just that.
Well, they were that
fun-loving.
funny. They were that entertaining. I mean, John Lennon was very funny, but you can't turn it on all day.
I think that. I mean, the secret to them was that they were funny. I mean, I think that's the thing that made them the Beatles.
I never thought about that.
Was that they were funny, that no matter how threatening people were by their hair, they get in front of a mic and they're charming and funny,
Oh.
And smart.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Like, I love the Stones, and I don't even realize. I know you told me, why don't we have a whole podcast, Stones, Beatles, and I said, I don't think it's a good idea.
Right.
But you said, I want to spread it out over 3 weeks.
Right.
And do the early to the early, mid to the mid, live to the dead.
With a presidential debate format.
But I never thought about that before. But just the fact that the Rolling Stones were known as the bad boys, I always had a problem that they had a specific personality. That's not their problem.
Yeah, but that was their intent.
That was their thing. They did, yeah.
And that's the thing, is that they were, compared to the Beatles, they were. Because the Beatles never sneered once,
Isn't it interesting that...
That was one of my first true geekdom was Beatles.
It was I don't know if it was my first one, but it was close to my first one, and I did it up to a certain point, but I would be lying if I said, which I might have said at an earlier point in my life, I've read all the Beatles books.
I did at a certain point had read all the Beatles books, and my bar mitzvah was like during this time, so like a good 60% of my bar mitzvah presents were Beatle related things.
Now, but there was a time period. I'm not talking about things they would put out like a promotional thing, but there was a time period where there were only like 10 total books or 8 total books written about the Beatles, right? I mean,
yes,
including in your
when
own
number
right.
8 and 9 were written. That was that time.
What's that?
Yes, that's.
Why
true.
I know you're mocking me. I'm just not.
I wasn't
sure.
mocking you. It was just
But why are you
low level
mocking me?
sarcasm.
No, but let me in on what it was that was that you should have sarcasticized.
You said there was a time when there was only 8 or 9 Beatle books, and I said yes, right after number 8 and 9 were written.
So I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't like the joke because I thought you were mocking me. I didn't even know what the joke was.
It wasn't much of a joke.
It's a solid joke.
No, I'm not.
I think it's a solid
I'm not
joke.
standing behind it.
No, it's a solid mock.
Okay.
It's a solid
mock.
Did you go the whole 9 yards where you bought the Beatles, that big coffee table book?
I have like the big coffee table Beatles recording sessions book, which is super cool.
No, this is a Beatles, like a biography with pictures that came out that I never looked through, but I own it.
No, but I bought the Beatles anthology DVDs.
Oh, what is that about?
It's about the Beatles.
What does that mean, an anthology?
It's a huge, long documentary
About the Beatles?
That the Beatles.
Oh, it includes the Shea
in.
Stadium footage, includes the Magical Mystery Tour.
It's about the Beatles. So yes, they did include two of the major high points. Of their
Because I always tell that story about being on LSD in college. The story is about having the same hallucination, two people having the same hallucination of a door opening and then a door closing.
Yeah.
So me and my friend had the same opinion of 3 minutes of reality.
Okay.
And we both saw the same thing and talked about it, and it couldn't have happened. I was in the middle of a Beatle thing, a marathon, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen, and I was so high also, but I had never seen them fly into Shea Stadium, and then Magical Mystery Tour, which I loved on acid because it seems like they're portraying
it was meant for that, yeah.
Out of the left side of the bus, it's like this, but then out of the right side of the bus.
But it's terrible.
That's not my experience of it because I saw it on acid.
Yeah, don't watch it not on acid ever.
I have only seen the movie once because I don't lie anymore. And I saw it on acid. It's the greatest movie ever made. There's George and John are obviously just sitting. I don't know what they're doing even.
Yeah.
I don't think it's scripted.
No, it's not. It's mostly not scripted.
And then you could tell Paul McCartney, his influences is always like a big picnic with strange characters.
Right. Paul McFellini.
Do you feel like I've always been on the fence in a certain way about concept albums?
Yeah.
Even Strawberry Fields. I love the album, but or what's the one with the benefit of Mr. Kite?
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
So it's not Strawberry
It's
Fields.
a famous album.
Not Strawberry Fields.
No.
Sgt. Pepper's. I've always been on the fence about this crazy band from 40 years ago.
Right. But as Ringo has said, you take away the Sgt. Pepper thing at the top and you take away the reprise at the end, and it's not really a concept album.
Wait, on Strawberry, on which one?
On Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club
Wait,
Band.
it starts out with?
It starts out with We're Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
And then what's the last one?
It's the reprise of We're Sgt. Pepper's Lonely
it's terrible.
Hearts Club Band.
Oh, yeah, but I bought it because I was buying them big time. So I bought that there was a story behind it, but I wasn't interested in the story.
But then Day in the Life, I think, comes after the reprise of it.
Is that in the same album?
Because the album ends on the giant chord that we were talking about.
You can't. But the other thing is, I'm so close to those albums.
Yeah, obviously.
That I can't. No, don't say it like that. It's true that I do not. I profess knowledge and then don't exhibit any.
Right.
But at a certain point, I did have strong opinions about the Beatles and loved everything that they did. Everything. At one point, I loved everything they did because I couldn't have been. I was so young. When you're 8 or 9 years old, you're not in the mode of, Revolver's good, but the Rubber Soul.
Right.
You just take it in.
Yeah, and also note that I came to them after they were done.
Right.
But by several years.
You had to have.
Yeah.
Unless
I was not alive when they were.
Unless the period that I experienced as a child went on for 20 years. I was in 63. I saw the Beatles.
Childhoods often do last about 20 years. So.
Of all the Thought Spiral shows we've done, I think 15 shows so far. I don't look. I don't follow. I have my unpaid intern.
You don't listen. We know that much.
That's very rude that you would say it. It may be true. This one, literally, there is no thought or discussion that has gone over 4 seconds.
It's true. There's not a lot of traction.
You couldn't even write...
Not a lot of traction tonight.
You couldn't write the minutes of this.
No.
First
I actually do have Alex now when he's mastering the show. Alex, our producer at Showbiz Studios.
That was good. I couldn't even notice it.
I have him take notes for me so I can do the show description because I go through it and then I forget.
Oh,
everything.
That's good. That's what we need. I need someone walking around with me all the time.
I do my pass and it passes right through me.
There's something about this that is completely unnatural.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't if we weren't doing the podcast.
I think it's our posture, just to keep to the mics.
That's why we don't video. The idea of two Jews, we don't sweat. We both, whatever. It's not attractive. I mean, you're not gonna, it's not eye candy.
No, there's no eye candy there. It's more like eye meatloaf.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think, are you going to put that in as a standard bit in our patter? We have to write patter for when we do like car dealership openings.
Or when we do our live podcast this week. This Thursday, August 24th at Acme Comedy Club in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thursday, the 24th.
Why do you sound like? Why does your voice sound that way?
Because plugging doesn't come.
Why are you? Is it sing-songy or are you embarrassed?
That was detachment from my soul.
And where did they get tickets for that?
They could go to acmecomedycompany.com and look up the Thought Spiral taping, or if you want to make reservations, 612-338-6393.
We're basically going to get up there and spritz. Isn't that what we're going to do?
We're going to spritz?
Spritz and talk to people in the crowd and get Louis Lee up there. What are we going to do? Why do you think, you were telling me you think this podcast is going to be make or break time for us?
That's why I priced it at $7.
Do we get any portion of the $7? Because if so, I'm excited about it.
We do.
I'm very excited about that. Let's get down there, people. All I care about, this is how much I care about my art. I figure 250 people, is that what it seats?
It seats almost 300.
300?
Yes.
And say...
It seats 10 for podcasts. They put up the podcast curtain so it doesn't feel empty.
That trick I've used in my own act. I was one of the first people to try to make the room look smaller by bringing in drapes.
Hey, everyone, let's build a fort out of these 40 tables in the back.
Oh, also, while we're pitching the live show, can I also pitch... my Mastering the Podcast series that you can online. It's $35. And
people teach you how to master a podcast?
No, I tell people how to do it.
Oh.
How to do it.
Oh, that's different.
It's like it's not as simple as getting microphones, having no topics, and just talking for a specific amount of time. That's not what it's about.
No. Did you see? Did you have the same instinct with me when our friend Bill Corbett the other day said he was listening to the podcast, and I just listened to episode 1 and 2, and I'm really digging it. Did you have the same instinct to go? It gets better.
Yes,
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah,
I wouldn't tell people don't listen to the first 2. I would eliminate the first 2, but you can't. You can't. You know why, Josh?
Because it's history.
We can't deny our legacy.
Exactly.
There's Andy Kindler, but there's also Andy Kindler, the entertainer.
Right.
And
I'm waiting for him to show up to the podcast.
That is the world's oldest and meanest joke. Oh, yeah. You know that entertaining
You
thing
know
you
why?
do?
Because it was following the world's oldest setup.
First of all, people say that I'm fresh.
Yeah.
My material is fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a look on your face sometimes like you actually know what's happening.
Really?
I assume. Okay, maybe you're not even thinking.
I think that's from being a director of movies. Is you have to have that look.
Is that why you're constantly making the L's?
Yeah,
what is this called again?
The douchey way to look at a scene.
So the idea is that you wouldn't be. I'm framing it. I know.
You're trying to get an idea
yeah.
of what the frame is going to
so
look like.
In other words, like
he's holding up his thumb to thumb like sort of goalpost right now.
Goalpost.
Yeah.
So like I'm making a movie about Josh. Do I want Josh in the movie? And if so,
right,
how do I want him framed?
if you move your hands, I'm out of the movie.
Oh, that's not going to work. Let me see. Do you have anything? I had a couple of. Do you have anything? I have one thing I could talk about, but I'm talking. Or unless you have something.
What did you have to talk about?
Okay. How OCD, whatever it is, the condition I have, which I don't even really know exactly. Like it's like. I guess I have OCD, but I can't define myself as OCD guy. Although if it's sold,
sure,
I can make it.
There's shirts probably in that.
Hey, I'm OCD guy.
There's some well-folded shirts in that.
You could create merch that would allow the person at home to repeat your OCD.
All right.
What were we talking about?
Your OCD.
Oh, okay. So on the road. Well, that's my OCD. The thing is, I forget the last thing I said. You said it's gotten worse. We all agree it's gotten worse. So it's just a matter of a cure. So on the road, I can't believe all these years I didn't realize how whatever you want to call it, OCD, ADD, whatever you want to call the condition I was in, how crazy in a way it was, because I don't have the germ thing.
Right.
And that's an obvious way. Look, you don't even need the germ thing to think that Howie Mandel is weird. So I'm on the road, and it takes me hours to do anything. To pack my bags, if I have to get ready for a trip, I'm rushing at the last minute.
I've been on the road with you, and just the horror of I'll meet you in the lobby in 5 minutes was
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Calendar pages flip, newspaper headlines roll by.
30s, the 40s. But no, so like I have all these things, all these, like I have Lactaid that I don't even know if I need, really.
Yeah.
I have famotidine. I have Alka-Seltzer. I have Pepto-Bismol. I have, what do you take when you like diabetics take when they need to eat sugar quick?
Insulin?
No, a tablet. A tablet. Glucose tablet.
Okay.
Cleaning.
But you're not actually diabetic, right?
No. I'm not. We don't know what's happening. I mean, I'm hoping it's bigger than that. I'm the guy. I am my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
I laugh at my own material.
Yeah, you do, but that's okay.
It's not okay, Josh. It's not okay.
I laugh at my own shit, too. I literally last night laughed at a joke from when I was 17 years old that someone on Twitter, someone was watching a local show version of Mystery Science Theater and was like, hey, Josh Weinstein just made me laugh as Dr. Earhart on this thing. And I'm like, score one for 17-year-old me.
Right.
And then he tells me the joke, and I actually laughed.
What was the joke?
The joke was we were doing this fake invention of 1D glasses. And then I put them on, and I'm like,
I can only see length.
But you didn't show the 1D, right? It's just people saying, oh, you didn't show the 1D, right?
No.
You know, I literally forgot that I was doing a podcast. I'm not kidding. I mean, a lot of people forget when they listen to it, that's how they feel.
right.
But I didn't realize that I was on mic. And I just leaned back like I was going to take a nap.
It's time for the 4 questions.
That's weird. Okay, so all these things I have. I also have like handy wipes, whatever you call those things. Then I have mints of all kinds. I have various prescription drugs. I have first aid things.
Really?
I have 2 thermometers. I have 2 razors. I have an electric razor. I have all these different folders.
Yeah.
Like plastic folders that I fit pages in. So travel documents.
Yeah.
Bologna sandwich recipes.
Sure.
So I have that, and then I have headphones. A couple of headphones. I have what's the thing when you charge it without a battery?
Charger?
Yeah, but not the one that goes in the wall. Instead of plugging it into the wall, you plug it into that, and it powers you up.
Okay.
What do you call that?
A portable charger?
This is like the world's worst car talk. Hey, what was that thing that they had in the older cars? Carburetor?
A stick shift?
Carburetor? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Not that one. Oh. So, I have too many items for my
Dop
carrying
kit.
things.
Yes.
And it takes hours and hours of my life to get them organized to go from one area to the other.
And does it cause you more pain in the ass than it does comfort to have all that shit?
Oh well, I don't. The stuff doesn't ultimately comfort me.
Because I always go with the theory, I'm going to a city with stores.
Right. You can rationalize any way to do the least for your trip.
So true. I can rationalize doing the least bit for blank.
Right. What I guess what it is that there's a million different details in any task, or there could be, getting ready to go on, bringing your underwear, bringing your shoes. So there's a capability of making that procedure way more confusing and tedious.
Yeah, I don't have that issue. I'm a last-minute packer.
So, what's your thing? Okay, you have to leave. Well, how do you do it? You're always on time, so how do you do it when you go on the road? How do you do it?
I make sure everything's laundered in the week before I'm leaving for somewhere. So I have clothes to choose.
What do you think? I don't do laundry at my house?
No, I'm just saying that's the only thing. That's the only pre-prep.
Okay, but I'm late.
Like I'm leaving town, so and I was just about out of underwear, so I did a load of underwear.
That I think really, if people don't get that message,
I bring like one more pair of underwear than I need out of superstition in case I shit my pants or fall in a pool.
Right. I go twice the amount of underwear.
Do you?
Yeah, but I need.
Do you really?
If I need 4, I take 8 or 10.
Really?
Yeah, because you could double
you could shit your pants twice or fall in a pool after shitting your pants.
Well, that's not the image I want people to have of me. I mean, this is where you get into bad PR.
Do you lay stuff out before you're going?
Well, I don't lay it out I can organize by taking all of the items I have and putting them into on a platter or a box-like thing.
Yeah.
And that always helps. It always helps to do something. But sometimes you're going from a disorganized state to a weirder version of the same disorganized state.
Are you going to do Carlin's stuff bit?
Why do they call it stuff? Well, that's Seinfeld.
It was, I don't know.
Where do I keep my stuff? Wouldn't that be more?
It's another version of your stuff. Here's your stuff. I'm taking my stuff with me.
There's no better way to criticize a comedian.
Something's gone afoul inside a tomato. That was actually a better Carlin than I knew I had in me,
What
frankly.
is that?
Huh?
Is that an actual Carlin?
Yeah.
Which one?
Something's gone afoul inside a tomato.
Oh, I didn't recognize
It looks like
that.
it's still in the larval stage, like it's not even finished yet.
And what is this in reference to?
It's just like something from a special he did 25 years ago that stuck in my head.
Well, I'm fascinated by the fact that...
But you've heard his stuff bit, right?
Yeah,
I'm going on a trip. I'm just taking a smaller version of my stuff. Here I am in a room. I can put my stuff all around. But I've got to go on a side trip. I got to take an even smaller version of my stuff.
All he's doing there is describing an activity that people do. They go somewhere.
No, Andy. He's describing it emphatically.
But that's not. But some of the classic Carlin bits are versions of that where it's really good, right?
Well, that's considered one of his classic bits, honestly.
The stuff?
Yeah, he does it better than me, but it's...
I thought it was baseball's this way, football's that way.
Wow. And they didn't ask you on the history of comedy. That's the weird thing.
You know, Lucy was funny. She was just...
Ricky!
From what I could tell, she was one of the greats. She really was a true pro. She would come in and rehearse every day.
Lucy made funny faces. That was what it was, too. I'm making a funny face, Viv. But Lucy knew how to keep a bit going. The Smothers Brothers once got taken off the air for things that they said. Hey, we just got taken off the air. NBC executives were very upset about it.
The NBC execs were very upset with us.
I was an NBC exec at the time, and I have to say, I was upset. That is the whole show.
Yeah.
It's the events of life not being shown in a way that's elucidating, and people talking about it.
Tell, show, tell, 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 show, tell, 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 show, show, tell.
I know what you're going to tell me, Josh, that the ratings are through the roof on this CNN history of the comedy.
I think the ratings are better than cutting to those two people with English accents doing the news.
You mean late at night?
Yeah.
We welcome the international audience to CNN Overnight. I'm Victor Blackwell. Welcome to CNN Overnight. Why did I say that? I'm not Victor Blackwell.
Just like that wasn't even like English ballpark accent.
What ballpark do the English go to? Like a cricket stadium?
It's a cricket stadium. Yes.
There's no such thing as an English ballpark accent. Let me hear your version.
No, I'm not going to do it now.
Look, you told me
it's going to be superior.
You called me earlier. You texted me earlier today and said, "Please lead me into the following vocal impressions."
All right.
First, you were going to say, "You're from Minnesota. Did you ever know Hubert Humphrey?" And that cues you to do your Hubert Humphrey chunk.
I got into a fight in high school when Hubert Humphrey Jr. came to the speak when he was running for state, I think, the governor.
And what happened?
I asked him questions that he didn't want, and he stopped calling.
Why were you bothering him?
Because I was showboating.
You were showboating against you. Were you calling him Junior?
Skip is what his name was. Skip Humphrey.
Like, I can't imagine you.
He's Hubert Humphrey the third.
Edgy. Like you're like Morton Downey with that kind of
thing. Oh,
thing.
you know me. I was a 16 or 17-year-old comic in a high school with my chance to get on the man. And he stopped calling on me. He literally did. He was like, "Does anyone have questions?" And I had a couple questions.
Oh my God.
And then he stopped calling.
You even went to the point of not being recognized?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
I know. I'm a rebel.
I think both of us in the lower register, we could do some kind of overnight show.
I think.
Or do they have on the Quiet Storm or whatever those shows are where they play mellow music? Do they have mellow hosts? No. That's what it's missing. It's 2:00 in the morning. I'm Andy Kindler. My co-host Josh Weinstein.
I'm glad you're joining us for some jazz sounds here in the AM.
Keep it quiet.
We got Miles Davis in A Silent Way coming up. We have...
what did you say after that? Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at that. I'm hearing crickets.
Those are actual crickets. Yes.
I don't think they are. Are they?
Outside.
Where do you get your? Do you bring your crickets in? Do you grow your crickets? Do you bring them in? How do you get your crickets?
2 of my crickets are from the original band, and the rest are organic.
Red Skelton just had an ability to do different characters. I'm Clem Kadiddlehaber.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Hortense. Ooh.
He always would end his show saying God and may God bless. And may God bless.
May God bless.
Have you heard about? Does it seem familiar to you? What I'm saying?
Yes, I never
because
actually,
everything's been covered before.
I never actually saw a Red Skelton show, but I told you the story about actually meeting Red Skelton.
I don't remember it.
I met him in this. I think it's probably around episode 2 or 3 we talked about it. But I met him in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Here, play back. It's a thought spiral. Play back.
Play back.
Go back, fellas.
I met him at a hotel in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and he was playing the Civic Center next door, and I was playing the bar in the hotel.
Both venues sound depressing.
Yes. And they told me not to swear because Red Skelton might come into the bar during your set.
And paint one of his clown paintings?
Yes. Don't work blue. And he did ask me, I hope you don't work blue, when I met him the next morning in the lobby.
Why was he concerned about it?
Because that's Red Skelton.
The kids, right?
He was giving me advice as a comic.
Steve Allen, I saw Steve Allen before he died.
Yeah.
At one of those award shows that we used to have, the American Comedy Awards.
Uh-huh.
I'm not lying to you. Apologizing to a young kid who he didn't know, like maybe the kid was 12. I don't know. I'm very sorry, young man, about the language you had to hear today.
Let me write you 6 songs to make up for it. Blink, blonk, blonk, blonk. That's 1. Blink, blonk, 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 blonk. That's 2.
This may be the start of something big. Don't make me go into my Steve Allen chunk. Because I'll take him down. I'll take down anybody from a different era. Al Jolson, I still say after all these years, you can kiss my ass. Do you think? Now, I called you earlier today, Josh, and I asked you.
You can kiss my black ass after it's kissed by him because the stuff came off.
Now, Henny Youngman, I know you are a curator of the history of comedy.
Sure.
Did he write a lot of his stuff?
I don't know how much he wrote. I assume he wrote some, but I bet he bought a lot too. I mean, that was the advice I had a friend. I opened for him once, but years earlier, I had a friend named Sid Youngers who opened for him, and as he's going off stage, Henny tells him, "Get to know the writers, kid. You can't just improv your way through everything."
Get to know the writers.
Yes.
I think that's pretty savvy, too.
With me, he said, "Stand by the side of the stage in case I have to go to the can during the set."
Henny Youngman is a great name, too.
It
I
is.
just want to say that.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. I don't have to say right off the bat, but it needs to be in the top 3 things I mentioned.
And it's not Jackie like so many comics of the era. It was Henny.
Right, Jackie.
There's
This,
not
Jackie,
a lot.
that.
There aren't other Hennies.
Now, I called you earlier today with my idea of the mini pods, that we would have little mini catchphrases or something.
Yeah.
And they go, when we put them out there and people can download it.
Yeah, like little audio hashtags.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to sell me, or something like that.
And that's the whole thing.
Well, no, it's better than that. That's okay.
Right.
Do you want, when you're in the writers' room, say, "Look, this is just a placeholder. I'm not saying this is the joke." Yeah. Then why are you giving an example of it?
Right.
If you're saying there's no joke, what's the point?
Here's
isn't
the bad
joke.
example. Here's the bad example. Yeah.
That is an actual thing that people do, right?
People do that, yes. And it's always a bad example.
And so then you're saying, I don't have an idea,
Right.
but I have a bad example of one.
I have a joke shape to pitch, is what you're saying.
Do you think that all of us? I don't consider myself a writer. Andy, you're really one of the best writers going. Oh, thank you, Josh.
Yeah, we did a podcast about what a great writer you are.
Thank you, Josh. Oh, okay, that was the quickest. If I am going to see a psychiatrist or whoever's going to eventually see me,
yeah.
I didn't remember what I was saying as I was saying it.
Wow. You just were talking to talk.
That could be one. Talking the talk.
Talking to talk.
And you make that into like a vine. It's an audio vine. Here's my idea.
Aha.
Audio vine.
A loop. An audio loop. Oh, wait. That's a thing.
A sizzle reel of sizzle reels.
Uh-huh.
I really feel the other way we could look at what's going on right now is we're 2 old Jews heading into our final go-round and recording for posterity an hour and a half of aimless conversation that, if you had to characterize it in any way, your first adjective would be Jewish.
Right.
Well, they're Jewish. Have you ever listened to Thought Spiral? What's the show like?
It's like being in the back of a Jewish shuttle bus.
It's like being a fly on the wall of an empty room. Do you think this show, is this the one that we would submit for Peabody?
Sherman? Set the Wayback Machine to the beginning of this show.
We don't do enough old cartoon characters.
It's
Bullwinkle.
true. That's true.
Because I do a great Rocky.
Oh, spider on the wall. Who is the spider wall? I don't remember how it
Who could
went.
talk like that and not, after a while, get a headache?
I don't know.
That's why I stay away from the voiceovers.
Yeah.
It's just, who needs the aggravation? Never got voiceover. That was being sarcastic.
Yeah. That's been your biggest paycheck, is voiceovers lately, hasn't it?
I'm talking about like commercials.
Yeah.
Or anything other than someone knows me and would I do a voice?
I think there's still a future in I've Fallen and I Can't Get Up for you.
You mean that actual bit?
No, the actual trademarked line by Life Alert. They still use it in their ads.
You mean they still have a commercial every 6 months or a year, a new version of, they go to an old lady.
They do. There's now one where,
I've fallen in the tub.
I've fallen in the park.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Have they done studies to see if which is more effective, the falling in the somewhere outside or not being able to get up?
Well, now you have all the options. You can fall anywhere these days. It's a golden age. It is a good time to fall.
Okay. Why were they initially saying, what did they hope to accomplish by saying, I've fallen and I can't get up? How did that save any old woman?
Because it describes to the Life Alert operator on the other end of the line what's happened and what the emergency workers will be facing when they come into your house.
I took it a different way. I took it like in the old days, you could say that, and where would it get you? I didn't realize I had forgotten temporarily that there was an actual reason to have a Life Alert, that you're communicating that you have fallen and you can't get up.
It's not just like a fall diary.
Diary.
I've fallen and I can't get to a pen and paper, so let me record what happened on this device. I've fallen and I can't get up.
You know what? I'd rather go out that way than I'm falling and I just don't want to get up.
Yeah.
You know, I took a workshop in dynamics this week.
Yeah.
We know you can bring it very, very low. I think we're not going to be able to use any of this show, is what I'm afraid of, because
ask me what grade I got in the dynamics class.
What grade did you get in the dynamics class?
Enough!
That's great. Now that's great. Now that's gold. A lot of emails have said, and by the way, if you want to email us at...
You know it by now, don't you? Oh, Jesus. ThoughtSpiralShow@gmail.com. Please send us email. Also, go to iTunes and rate us and review us on iTunes. We appreciate that.
I'll do another plug for the live show. Hey, kids. Are they kids who listen to our show? Hey, everybody. Hey, Thought Spiral fans.
Mom, put on the podcast that sounds like Grampy.
Oh, you made me sick with that one. This Thursday, fill in the date of next week.
August 24th.
At what time of night are we doing it?
5:30 p.m.
Who comes out to a show at 5:30?
5:30 p.m. at Acme.
Oh, there's bad news and worse news. What's the bad news? The show starts at 5:30. What's the worst news? It's a podcast.
But it's only $7.
And we're charging for something that probably is being taped next door to where you live. That's how many podcasts there are now.
Right.
The only thing that I'd like to do with my life is monetize it. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
In other words, your wife's, we tell your wife that she has to go upstairs. You can't come down. You know, we take over this house.
Right.
Dogs come in. Dogs go out.
The dogs were stayed in last week's podcast.
And Casanova Frankenstein. I don't have to shout out to him, but I will. He
loves the shout out. Let's be honest.
He deserves. I mean, this guy. It must have taken him all day to get those dogs.
I woke
together?
up at 7 a.m. this morning. I woke up.
Yeah.
There's 4 different Photoshop bits that Casanova Frankenstein has already put online.
And he also does a classic thing that I'm sure I do. I don't respond to something because I'm off of the Twitter, you know.
Yeah.
And so he said, "Oh, I thought you'd like that more."
Well, you know, I don't you think we owe it to Casanova Frankenstein to be discerning on some level?
It's true.
Like I told him, I'm not retweeting any time you put Alzheimer as a joke in the thing. I'm not retweeting it. I cannot endorse Alzheimer as a joke.
Yeah, but I did.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's
I think
that's blood on your hands.
I think he's saying. I think I've actually said that in a a mocking way.
No, you've said it on the podcast, and he's slipped it into a few different ones
right,
of it.
But
I won't retweet
you don't want
it.
to
I will not retweet that fucking joke.
Do you because you're afraid that it insults people who who are affected by Alzheimer's, or it's because they don't like funny jokes? Again, here's where I think my condition is worsening. Right. I forgot what I was saying, and I lost the enthusiasm for the topic.
usually
at the same time.
Usually you can keep the enthusiasm going well past the knowledge of what you're saying.
I can do the Jerry Lewis thing where you just take the words and go blah 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 bang. I'm capable of that.
Yeah.
Have you watched the history of comedy? They do a whole thing about sound effects and the different breathing tactics that comics use. Now, Lenny was like Lenny Bruce, the way he breathed new life into breathing.
Whereas Lenny Schultz was
I want to move. I want a bowl. I want a bowl. Just outside of Rochester.
Oh my God.
The premise.
That is the worst.
Yeah,
Of-
but the
of
worst.
16 weeks. That is the worst Foster Brooks that has taken place on this show.
But I still counter that the joke could be the other way. It was a rock. I was at Raha. Just after I left Buffalo. You know what? I lost enthusiasm for the bit after everybody saw where it was going, and after I knew that you were staring at me.
Did you ever hear Foster Brooks' X-rated party album?
Is this a bit?
Well, I mean, it was his bet.
Oh, but are you being serious? I never know with you because you're a prankster.
I went up to a lady. I said, "Do you like to partake in anal intercourse?"
I can't believe you could criticize me for an impression, and then no,
The impression was not the problem with
no.
that.
I liked it. I liked it on every level. It was a penetrating joke. Oh, and we're the punsters. We're the punsters. Okay, I can't even think of. I know I'm introducing something, but I don't really know what it is.
I understand. You've been flying all day. I've been editing all day. So.
I am jet. This is the first podcast I've done when I'm jet lagged. But that doesn't mean that anybody needs to email or say something like, "You know what your problem was? You were jet lagged."
Yeah.
I don't want any of those.
No, I don't think
I don't
we'll
want
get
any of
those.
that kind of feedback.
Oh, I won't forward those.
Where it says, "You know what his problem is?" Ray, his problem.
So, and I'm sure everyone appreciates all the email responses you've been sending.
Well, now here's the thing. I get these emails. I say I want to respond to them.
Right.
Then I don't respond. I haven't responded yet.
Right.
And then all I can think of is that I haven't responded.
Right.
And that you're looking at me with a scolding look.
No, I think you're not disappointing me because I'm actually responding to all of them. You're disappointing our people.
It's like the worst parental maneuver.
I'm
Andy,
not mad at you,
disappointed
Andy.
in you.
I'm not mad at you.
No.
I'm just disappointed.
Andy.
No, I just thought
I don't hate you
I
now.
thought we did better as parents. So really,
I'm not saying I would.
I'm mad at myself for raising you so poorly.
You know what? It's my mistake.
Right.
I didn't do enough to prevent you from being a hideous monster.
I didn't wear a condom that time.
You have gotten so blue with the condom jokes.
Yeah.
See, for one second.
My favorite comic is Jack Bad, the guy who hired Rochester.
That you are a master craftsman at putting together a premise, and I still don't think that was an actual premise.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the one show that we've done where we have not had any direction at all. I mean, I knew we wouldn't have anything important to say.
Right.
I was hoping for if Garrison Keillor were if he was entertaining. That's what I was hoping.
It's been a slow week here in Lake Wabagon.
You know, years from now.
Pot of milk biscuits. That's my impression of Garrison Keillor getting a tracheotomy while doing his show.
I don't know if you're allowed to do setups that don't sound plausible impressions.
Now it's time for Guy Noir.
Hi, I'm Guy Noir. There we go.
The sad thing is we're doing a joke about a guy who's retired, who not that many people... I mean, I know he was popular, but honestly...
I know, but I grew up with him in Minnesota.
Oh,
so.
you actually feel positively towards him.
No, I feel highly negatively towards him.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I used to feel positively about him, maybe 30 years ago. But for years, I would like get in my car on a Sunday
and be depressed.
And like suddenly I'd be, why am I in a pissed off mood? What? I was fine, and then I'd realize that it was on. That radio show was on.
Well, you know, Josh,
so what do you want to do this week in Minneapolis aside from shows?
That's a good topic. I'm going to have a lot of Black Sheep pizza.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and visit Big Brain Comics, which is one of my but I haven't been there in a long time.
I've never been there.
It's really a great comic book store. I want to visit my good friends over at Albertson Ford. Are you going to want to make this show listenable? Are you going to add a narrator, maybe?
I might. Around about that time, Andy backed away from the mic as if he was just sitting at home.
There was times during this podcast where I felt that we had reached a new level of
Pointlessness?
If not entertainment.
Oh, I was going the other way.
What were you saying?
I said pointlessness.
Well, pointlessness is, that's why people don't listen to this because they want like a simple answer
Right.
or something consistently funny.
No.
I really am entertaining. I never don't entertain myself by making fun of myself. But it's almost it's a crutch in a way.
Yeah. In every way, I think, isn't it?
No, I have a thriving. It's the secret behind my thriving career.
Right. Is your crutch.
You know, I think people were saying that they liked the early podcast better because there was more conflict.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else to say.
I saved several $1,000s today by editing out a couple of pieces of music and a clip out of my movie without hurting it at all.
That is growth.
It was good. It felt good.
Yeah, well, I would. So I guess you all along the way you've been thinking about that, right?
Yeah. Today we actually made some cuts. We actually opened up the session and made the cuts. They weren't just theoretical anymore.
Oh my God! Imagine if you could do it so much that the movie was still perfect and you were in the black.
I have been facing some Andy Kindler like self-loathing, procrastinating bullshit the last week.
Now, what is it? How does that like? What is your day like?
See, well, what's happening right now is I made this doc. Now it's been a few years since I thought I was finished with it, but now I'm actually getting it to a distributor, which means I got to do all the music rights, get them all locked down. I got to get all these photo rights locked down, and so I put all these photos into the movie. I made this movie before I really fully understood intellectual property rights and rules, and so I just kept taking advice from people who didn't know shit.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You can use that.
So, like, literally nobody understands intellectual property rights, but they all think they do. And so, like, I had all this bad advice coming at me. And granted, I was taking the advice I wanted to hear most, so I could just keep moving with this thing.
Right, right.
But the thing that I hate more than anything is fucking up. I hate it. I hate making mistakes. It bugs me forever when I do. So every time I sit down to this movie, it is just like a referendum on how many fucking mistakes I made.
Oh, you mean because you're looking at the direction?
Not the direction. The direction is fine. You know, the mistakes I made was using all these photos and all these things before clearing them and finding out, making sure that they all, they were all usable, gettable, affordable, all of that before I put them into the movie and did post-production, and all this stuff. So now every time I have to go address one of these things, there's this undercurrent of, God, you're such a dick. Why did you, why didn't you
I'm a champion at beating myself up, but I thought
this is this process right now, because I didn't really sign up to produce this movie. I'm directed it and I paid for it, but I had a producer, and because of, just it's been so long, I don't really, it's kind of my thing now.
In other words, you never said that you were going to get it out there.
No, I intended to release it, but I thought I would have
help,
an infrastructure of people to do this. And,
yes,
and so the movie was sort of back burner for a while I was making the other movie, and then I found this distributor, and so it kind of came to life again. So, but every time I sit down to do it, and I literally I spent all weekend going through actual hard, physical photos, trying to look for photographer stamps on the back of them so I could track down the photographer who took this picture in 1973, see if they're still alive, see if they're represented by Getty,
Right.
Trying to track, because I have to get permission or pay for them. And anytime I had to do it, it was a fucking like mechanical bull ride. I just could not sit down do it.
So you just don't do it.
I just don't do it. I just sit there,
Wow.
and do other shit.
That
you
is
know?
the only thing that I'm trying to do that I still can't do, but I'm trying to do is, like I'll say, I'm going to answer this email because I don't want it to be one of these things where the person should get an answer quickly.
Right.
And then it turns into a whole thing, a whole project. 2 days, 2 days.
Yeah. This is all just this is all organizational shit, and I'm just.
And you don't enjoy that.
Not only do I not enjoy it, I mean, yes, I mean, I'm bad at it, but it's because I don't enjoy it. It's
It's also difficult.
I don't believe in
if it was easy, if you have money or whatever,
Yeah, but when I was making this movie, I had everything in my head. I was carrying around all the interviews, I was carrying around all the photos. Everything was loaded into my head when I was making it.
You actually used your head as a device?
I used it as an actual device. Like I didn't even do transcripts of the interviews or anything. I literally just because I had conducted all the interviews.
Oh, okay.
I remembered them all, and I remembered basically the
Right.
sequence that happened. So that's how I cut the movie was just knowing where everything was among these 20 interviews, basically. But now the movie is not in my, all the raw material is no longer in my head. So every time I sit down to it, I have to sort of, kind of relive it and reload it into my head. Like, what am I working on?
You mean
Where did this picture come from? How,
Oh, right. In other words, to reacquaint yourself with the thing.
Yeah. And then reacquaint myself with all the mistakes I made,
Oh, but okay, because the thing is, that those mistakes. I'm going to see if I could be a dime store psychologist. Those mistakes, you can't undo them, and they only happen. They'll never not have happened.
No, but I have to undo them is the thing.
Well,
Each one of them is one that I have to address now. It's not like I can just say, oh, well, I now have to address every single.
Oh, I see. You have to address the actual mistake. You have to solve the mistake you made.
Yes.
That's really...
Every problem that's there needs to be solved in order for the movie to get released. So every one of those things represents
and so
potentially a mistake I made, which is,
Right.
God forbid I make a fucking mistake,
Is that how you feel?
But that's how I beat myself up is that, that's my weak spot. Is you fucked up.
Let me get this down.
You
so
weren't
I can
right. You weren't right.
Oh, so you beat yourself up like what do you mean you weren't right?
I wasn't right. I went about.
Oh, the way
I'm proud of the movie. I love the way it came out, but I went about making it wrong. And I can't quite forgive myself for doing it. Even though I never made a movie before, even though I didn't spend other people's money doing it, like I didn't hurt anyone but myself.
Yeah.
But I don't like being fucking stupid.
Yeah, but how are you going to learn unless you do it?
I don't know. I could have asked.
I don't make
I could have asked
mistakes.
better people before.
About how to do it?
But or I could have planned. I didn't. I just dove in. I started shooting this movie 2 weeks after I decided I was going to make it. So.
Well, the thing about it is that
it's good. It's still a good movie. I'm still proud of it.
There's a movie you made, and then the movie stands separately too. I think. I don't know. I have some cockamamie thing, but that even your view of the project is not the view ultimately, because everybody has a different view of it.
Right.
So there's nobody going to look at it like you look at it now.
No, I'm no, I mean that's ultimately the biggest sort of frustration with all of this drama queenery that I go through.
Right.
Is it's very doable.
Yes.
You
can.
It's totally doable, and thankfully I finally have hooked up with a partner guy who's made a shit ton of documentaries and delivered a shit ton of them, and so there's no drama to it.
What do you mean? He takes care of it, or?
Well, he's just helping me,
Right.
and he's I need him to sort of organize the workflow to pass it in front of me. It's not like I'm trying to go, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it.
Right.
But I can't. It becomes a monster in a box for me.
Well, that's why help is good
Yeah, it is.
if you can accept it. But now, what is a monster in a box?
Monster in a Box was Spalding Gray's.
One man show.
He did one of his one man shows was
I
about
love Spalding Gray, but I don't remember this one.
about this book he was writing, which became a monster in the box. Was the manuscript was the
Oh,
monster.
he couldn't stop writing it, type
Yeah.
of thing. Oh God, I got to see that show.
I think he filmed it. I saw him do it live,
I've seen Swimming to Cambodia,
which is great. Another Jonathan Demme live thing that I love.
just the greatest. Yeah, I didn't realize it was Jonathan Demme.
Yeah.
I really have to brush up on knowing things.
I love Jonathan Demme.
Well, I think that, here at Thought Spiral, what we try to do, without being treacly, is that a word?
Yeah.
Without being overly sentimental, we're not saying that we want to get like a positive thinking vibe or a scam artist, the secret vibe, but we do feel like, hey, maybe we help you start out your week right. Is it coming out on Monday?
Yeah.
You know what? Have you thought of starting up your week with the guys who have difficulty thinking?
That's right.
Hey, do you want to feel better about your life instantly by listening to an hour of two guys fumble?
What could make you feel like your life is on track more than this?
That's they love the people love us because they know that they're superior to us in intelligence and sense of humor.
Right, and yet we're still judging them.
That's the only thing that saves me is my ability to let myself off the hook by hating others more.
Right. That is the secret.
No, the thing is, if we did this the way the CNN History of Comedy do it, we would say this. We would say, we do a podcast, and we had a conversation.
So, Andy, how are you today?
I'm pretty good.
They had a conversation almost every week on that podcast.
They talked about sports sometimes.
Hey, Andy, what do you think about the sports?
So if you've learned anything from tonight, I just want you to remember that CNN is trying to ruin everything. They want it's like they do the news terribly and they cover history terribly. Is that what their message is?
Yes. It used to be that comedy was a respite from CNN or an antidote to CNN. Now it's part of the poison.
You can ruin. I do believe, though, if they went on with this for a certain amount of years, they would absolutely destroy comedy.
I think the same thing could be said for this podcast.